Go,
Why'd
Mike.
you even have a 69?
Go, Mike. Go.
Mike, this is your
people.
time. It's your element. Come on, go, rush.
So I am taking a very, very nostalgic trip back to my glory days of being a 10-year-old playing a game called Sextris. Now, what is Sextris for the uninitiated amongst us? It's basically Tetris. I mean, it is Tetris. It plays like Tetris because it is Tetris. It's the Tetris rules. It's the Tetris gameplay, Tetris look and feel, but with a twist. And the twist is every time you get a line, and this is mostly for people who can't see the screen right now because they're listening to the audio podcast that we have. So every time you get a line, it reveals a bit of an image. Now, what is that image, you might ask, given that it's called Sextris? I wonder. It's very, very softcore, Playboy-esque style imagery.
So, Mike, can I ask where can you play this fabled Sextris?
You can actually play it.
And when did it come out?
And wait, before you go on, can I also say, if you're no longer finding the YouTube channel, you know the reason. If you're listening to the audio podcast, and the second thing is, I don't condone this. I'm not involved in any of this. This is all Mike and Swinny. So continue on, Mike. Continue on.
Yeah, it was our crazy idea. So the game came out for PC back in 1992. Back in 1992. Well, that's
Good old DOS.
That's 30 years ago when you think about it. This came out 30 freaking years ago. And let's face it, this completely altered the direction of my life in such a fundamental way that I think no game has done that since, or obviously before that. It had a huge impact on my life.
So quite a few episodes ago, we did a whole feature on our childhood memories of playing games, and of course, Sextris came off of Mike. So
it did. Well, look, honestly, all jokes aside, it absolutely is. It's impossible for a 10-year-old not to play a game like this and just be wowed. So while you guys were playing Donkey Kong, I was playing this, basically. It wasn't out yet, but, give or take about the same timeline. Now, so this game only came out on PC, I feel
like there's got to be some joke about some monkeys spanking. Like with
Probably is, actually.
Well, actually, if you were... no, I won't dox you. That's all right. I was about to say.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, don't.
All right, so let me quickly give a bit of background about this game. So it came out in 92, so 30 years ago. As far as I'm aware...
Oh my God.
30 years ago, exactly 30 years ago, yeah.
Old.
As far as I'm aware...
So you're 40 then, based on your maths. Yeah, go
on. Shit, yeah, about that, actually. Wow, damn. Well, I didn't play it at the time. I wasn't actually... Does that mean I was even younger when I played this?
Go on.
Holy no, see, I would have played it in like 94, 95, I reckon.
And can I just say, for the people who are like monitoring our YouTube page and get to ban our channel, we've put these censor bars over. There's nothing below them. We're just doing it as a joke.
There actually isn't really
They're all
anything.
PC images.
That's no joke.
Yeah,
the first one actually does.
No, it doesn't, Mike. No, it doesn't, Mike.
Doesn't?
No,
I mean, it doesn't.
There's nothing.
But no, legit, there is actually nothing
joke.
under this. There isn't. It's a joke. You can play the game. You can play this game online. You can download it for DOSBox because it's part of a lot of abandonware websites.
Can you buy it from like GOG or something?
No,
you can play it in. You can play it in browser. Like
you played it in the browser. Yeah, a lot of the footage that I took here. This is actually my gameplay, so please don't critique my Tetris ability or lack thereof.
If you actually Google Sextris, what actually shows up a lot is there's like a SNES hack. That's like a version of columns
but it's a different kind of game.
Yeah, where the actual pieces are bodies themselves, and it's like some hentai game.
No, this is the definitive Sextris. Now, there was actually a Porntris as well.
Oh no!
Which all I can say is, as a kid, being 8 or whenever the hell I played this game originally, it didn't make sense at first. Like, this made sense. I get it. I'm like, all right, I get that they're scantily clad women, and even though I'm only 10 or 8 or whatever the hell I was at the time,
can you stop mentioning age, please?
I feel compelled to play this.
So you understand
there's something innate.
The conceit of the game, whereas Porntris is too far.
Whereas Porntris is like, what the hell is this? What are these people doing? And that concept was a bit foreign to me at the time.
Yeah, because you're a child.
Super foreign. But I was a child, right?
Not much older than my son, which is very scary and creepy.
But I still actually do remember even Porntris, because Porntris was animated. This wasn't. Porntris actually had animations.
We didn't authorize you talking about Porntris.
So, okay, anyway, let's go back to this. Let's go back to this. So this game, as far as I'm aware, only only ever came out in the Spanish language, which is why you see puntos, which I'm assuming means points.
Well, okay, let's not.
And nivel, which means level. And it was done. It was created by two dudes, as far as I'm aware. Programming by Inigo Ayo, and graphics by Carlos Boullosa. Yeah, Boullosa. Now, I don't want to dox anyone or get anything involved. I don't think
just read their names out there. Go on.
Well, because you can find this information on the page for the game anywhere.
Sure.
Now, I did a little bit of digging, and Inigo Ayo, I hope I pronounced that right and I didn't butcher his name. I would love to meet this guy one day because he needs to realize he has had a massive influence on my life. He has, more than probably any other game developer ever, when I think about it.
So, Mike, with your resolution that you didn't do last year of making a game, you should have made a remaster.
I should have just made a remaster of this. See, I would if I didn't worry about licensing and all that shit. But I guess if it's for personal use, who gives a shit? So anyway, this guy, based on the research that I've done, was a developer prior to this, was a developer after that. However, the graphics person, I couldn't find any references other than it's a brand name, like a fashion designer or like a fashion store or something, in Spain as well, I think. Which is interesting, and it got me thinking: is that the same person? Did they kind of pivot from being into graphic design for a game like this to opening up their own business in fashion or something?
They're for such a
Probably
weird,
just a coincidence.
for such a weird game like concept. There is a shockingly little amount of information out there about this.
I know,
game.
right? It's really fascinating. But here are a couple more interesting little tidbits about the game. So, well, first of all, when it comes to the game itself, if you're actually watching this on YouTube, it plays exactly like Tetris, with a very slight twist in the sense that once you hit, and it doesn't show it in this properly, but once you hit a certain level, it makes the game a bit more difficult by introducing extra pre-made lines. So at one point, you basically get a grid of lines that only really line pieces can go through. So it gets more difficult, and then the speed increases, and it's a typical. It gets harder, but not just harder because it's faster, but harder because of the extra challenge that it introduces. One thing that I found pretty funny though is you can actually put in the cheat command to be able to just view the images, which blew me away because as a kid I would sit there for hours and hours and hours trying to bloody go through the whole thing, and it got ridiculously hard at the end. Because I have a feeling, I don't know if this was designed for a 286 and I had a 386 and it probably ran slightly faster than it was supposed to run.
Your PC not optimized.
So it was even harder. It was over optimized for Sextris. So it was running even faster than it was supposed to run. But as a kid, I'm like, I'm determined to see all the titties in the world, and I'm going to bloody see
calm
this.
Calm down.
Anyway,
he's talking about Sextris. Let's be real.
I am talking about Sextris.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to get the whole channel taken down for this.
Now, anyway, so they had this cheat thing, and it said that in order to view them, it said you must be, because I don't know, they're assuming that as a kid you can't actually play the game. Although it gets ever so slightly more explicit, if you could call it that, in the later stages of the game. Again, super tame. Really, really tame by today's standards. But it says you have to be 21 to run this program, and to verify your age, you got to answer 3 simple questions.
Oh, can we do the quiz? Can we do the quiz?
Yeah, okay, you guys can do the quiz. So, question number 1, and I'm gonna read it verbatim. Who did sing Sergeant Pepper? Was it 1, I Was Not Born Then? Was it 2, ABBA? Was it 3, The Beatles? Or was it 4, Elvis Presley?
Elvis. It's got to be Elvis.
That's easy.
Definitely Elvis.
We fail. That's it. We're not 21.
No, we're not 21.
See the images now. Okay, let's assume you did actually pass that though, and you got into question 2. Which company does Bill Gates boss? Obviously,
awesome.
at the time, these guys were not native English speakers.
Can
so
we,
whatever.
if we ever get merch, can we get like one that says Sextris and on the back
Which
of it?
company does Bill Gates boss?
Which company does Bill Gates boss?
What are the options? What are the options that you
Imagine if this actually did get some traction and there's a resurgence in Tetris and a resurgence in Sextris.
What are the options?
Okay, so option number 1, IBM. Option number 2, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Option number 3, Digital.
Microsoft. That's a good name for this kind of game.
It kind of is actually. Maybe Microsoft should be buying this game. Or option number 4, Compaq.
Compact. That's a name I've not heard in a long time.
I know.
Do they
Are they still
exist?
around?
Yeah, I
don't know.
actually.
Incidentally, my 486 was a compact. So there you
I
go.
think Bill Gates bossed Microsoft.
Yeah, I think so too.
You reckon?
Did we get that right?
Are you sure you want to
What's
lock
the
it
last
in?
question?
Okay. Number 3. How was your first time?
No.
I swear to God.
wait.
Was it one?
How is there a definitive answer for this?
Well, because I actually don't know because I didn't try getting the wrong answer. But number 1, don't remember. Number 2, haven't got one yet. Number 3,
one
I
yet.
don't know what you mean. And number 4, none of your business.
What? Is this real?
100% real. You can try this
Yeah.
out.
Awesome.
And by the way, the answer for that one, well, at least the answer that gets you what you want to get to is
Gets you what you
4,
wanna get to.
none of your business.
None of your business was the answer.
Well, I don't know if some of the other answers also do it,
Maybe it's
but I'm
better
pretty sure
images.
that's probably the answer you want.
So can I just say, Compaq was acquired by HP in 2002 for 25 billion. In
There you go.
2002.
25
And
billion.
the
Whoa.
brand remained used by HP for lower end systems until 2013.
What an
Wow.
insult.
So-
What an insult. It's like
Yeah.
we use it for lower.
Damn.
Well, isn't that what happened with Nokia and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, so 2013 was when the death of Compaq.
There you go.
Now, so a little bit of extra, digging that I did of a couple of interesting little things.
Can I also
Diving.
say this is the most work you've ever done for the podcast?
Probably is the most work I've done for the podcast. You should see the work I did after this research. So
Oh, no.
one of the actually you probably shouldn't see that. So one of the things that was interesting is they used a lot of images that I assume they got from Playboy magazines or something.
Oh, really?
And I think it is the case because it happens to be that the very first image it has the name of the ladies on each level, and the name is Vanna, Vanna. So I'm like, okay, I wonder if I
God.
can research a bit about this and whether it's a real
for
thing,
research
whether it's
purpose,
a
for
real
the podcast.
person.
This is a well-known fact, by the way, to you guys.
But this is a well-known fact, and it's actually quite fascinating.
Well,
so,
it's not a well-known fact, by the way, right? I understand that
Well-
you guys know it. That doesn't mean it's a well-known fact.
I'm saying a well-known fact if you know of the existence of this game. So
yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So Vanna turns out to be Vanna White, who's an American television personality that is the hostess of Wheel of Fortune.
still to this day,
Still to this day, from 1982.
Whoa.
So
Vanna White.
while she was
Sextris.
hosting Wheel of Fortune, as far as I'm aware, she went on to do some shots for Playboy, and one of those images happened to appear in this game. So Vanna White has indirectly, without knowing anything, affected this 80-year-old kid on the complete
God.
other side of the planet. Why not even watching Wheel of Fortune? I don't know. I just think the interconnection, but I'm not even kidding. I feel like,
Connection.
well, I do. I feel like the interconnection between people and it's almost like it's the butterfly effect, right? There was no way in hell when Vanna White went to do that Playboy shoot, there was no way in hell that one of the thoughts in a million years crossed her mind where she went, oh man, I wonder if like this poor kid on the other side of the planet in some freaking communist nation through this medium of video gaming will see my titties one day and it will completely influence the rest of his life.
You can't use that word again.
Okay, I will try.
We've
Can
reached
you
that
beep it?
threshold. No, I can't.
Okay, so really, like, it just astounds me. I think it's amazing. I want to reach out to this lady, and
Oh yeah, I'm sure she'd love
but
that.
I don't really want to bring up the past because apparently she's not very happy with the fact that she did those shots from the articles that I've been reading. I don't even know if she knows that she's in this game though, to be honest. So other than this, like, I guarantee you she wouldn't know that she's in this game. So we probably shouldn't bring that up. With her.
when we happen to interview her on
Well, we
Weekend
happen to bring her on
Gaming.
the show.
And we also put her in the video because she's the first person.
Well, she actually is the first one, yeah. Shit.
Because
But
I'm playing
anyway,
the game right now.
So look, I think, and one thing that I would say is from the perspective of a Tetris game, I think it's a very good Tetris game.
I challenge you on that.
No,
I don't.
the
I didn't-
images aside, no, I love it because it's a very pure Tetris game. Ironically,
I think it's
you know
pretty
what I
janky.
mean? I know it doesn't seem like a pure game in that perspective.
It's purer
But
than
no,
NES
it's
Tetris.
janky because I played it. If you play it through the browser, it's janky. If you actually play it on a machine, it runs fine.
Oh, okay.
It's just,
as long as it's a
worse on
286, not a 386.
But yeah, be careful with that. Especially if you've got the turbo button on. Oh, you're screwed. So,
I like we're judging the quality of Sextris's gameplay right now.
Why not?
well, here's the catch though, right? While you're playing the game, you don't have time to, especially when on the fast you don't even have time to look.
All right,
You don't even have time to look. You
We're
have to
getting
focus
close.
on the game. You have to focus on the proper game. You do get at the very end, which is now. It does pause the game until you press another button, which is good. So you do get some time to actually enjoy the spoils of your gaming. But it's certainly not. You play the game because it's Tetris. I think you really play the
I
game
don't think you
because
play
it's
it
Tetris.
because it's Tetris. It's a bad
I
version
think-
of Tetris.
I would
Well,
say at the time on DOS in 1992, this
It
was
was
probably
good.
the only version of Tetris that a lot of people had because they shared it around. You know.
Probably.
Yeah, how did you
I'm
get a
sure
copy
was
of
shared.
this?
So I'm gonna dub him in now. So my mum was having an affair with this dude.
What? What?
Yeah. And that dude gave me a whole bunch of games, shareware games on a on
I
some
actually
floppy
don't know the
disks.
story about you. What?
Yeah, I thought I told you the story.
I don't think
And-
so. I think I would
Hey,
have
I
remembered
really like the
this.
guy. I actually still speak to him to
Mike,
this
do
day,
you
by the
really
way, as
wanna
an
You
adult.
go
speak to him to
further?
this day?
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. Yeah.
What? Does your dad
do you-
know about this?
No, and I hope he doesn't find out
All
on this
right,
podcast.
right, maybe Mike. Why are you telling this story?
It's on
Why-
the freaking podcast.
I don't know, because it's what it is. So,
What?
yeah, so I still speak to the guy to this day. I got nothing against him. If anything, my God, he influenced me quite strongly for the rest of my life.
What the hell, Mike?
And he's a really nice guy. He's a really, really nice guy.
He's a great guy.
So-
He gave a child a porn game. It's
well,
great.
it was a different
Fantastic.
era, man. It was a different era.
different
I
era.
don't even think he knew it was on there, to be honest.
Oh,
so
okay,
I shouldn't blame him like that.
that's a
It's
bit
not like he
different.
came
That's a
and
bit
goes,
different.
"Hey, man, let's check this shit out."
No,
He
that's a bit
didn't do
different.
that.
I'll
I
give
don't
you
remember
that.
that happening. I think it was more. Here's a bunch of games that happened to be one of the games.
That's different.
I
That's
opened it.
different.
I'm like, "Holy shit, this is amazing!"
And then you're searching for the dodgiest game possible. And you found
obviously.
it.
So yeah. So look,
Wow.
I want to hear your thoughts, Winnie, because I think you read a bit about this as well.
No. I tried to like look up any trivia, and literally the only thing I could find was like, I think you mentioned it potentially the Twitter account of the guy who programmed it, but
Yeah, I reckon that's
the
him.
only reason, like other than it being named the same, is because people were tweeting at him about Sextris. So,
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
but also
poor guy.
because his no, but if you looked at oh look, I don't want to dox the poor guy. But
Well,
it's
kind
he
of
public,
said, he
has.
said his name.
it's
earlier.
public
what I said.
information. It's
Yeah, but
public
then
information.
That's doxing in a way, though. Sometimes
Well-
it is public. Doxing's the point
No
of
one's
like.
gonna
you're-
watch this video, and if it does, you know what? Kudos to him for creating one of the greatest games of all time. I think
Greatest games of all time.
I think the guy is a game developer, and he was a game developer and a programmer before this. And honestly, I would love to buy the guy a coffee one day. I would love to go to Spain, which I assume is where it's from because the game is Spanish. And one of my life goals now is to buy this guy a coffee. I shit you not. If I ever go to Spain, I'm
Yes,
going to hunt him
fucking-
down and I'm going to buy him a coffee and talk to him about this game. Yeah, he completely corrupted an 8-year-old kid or whatever the hell age
Yeah,
I
I'm sure
was.
he'd be pleased so much. to
Whatever,
hear.
I turned out alright, I think. Kinda. Anyway, so do you have any other thoughts on this, Winnie? From anything else you read about?
I was just saying, could you rearrange his name and it's like a pseudonym for some
Maybe
real
it
person?
is.
But there's
No, I think
it
it's-
doesn't
it's
come
real-
up with
it's
anything
real-
interesting.
We
real
gotta
person.
like. So the thing is, like, it's like my kid, right? He's growing up in an era where he knows there's the internet. He knows things are permanent. He knows, like, if he takes a photo or sends a message, that's never going away, right? The unfortunate thing for everyone else, who like us, who was born in an era where we didn't know that, people
Yep.
did shit and we're like, I'll just fucking do this. Who cares? No one's ever gonna see this, you
Yeah.
know. And now
I'll
the
put my
internet has
name on
discovered
it.
everything. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
so that's where I kind of feel bad for some of these people, and that's why I would never chase them down because it's like they're probably just thinking, oh look, this is a paycheck, move on, pays the rent for 1 month, and then I move on with my life, and it's
And-
haunted him forever. So it's like,
Well,
shit.
haunted. I don't know. Has it haunted? Because I
don't know. I don't know how he
have
feels about it.
genuine appreciation for this guy. Like I genuinely would love to meet this guy. It's not.
But I mean, you
same
think-
same as the artist that did it.
But you think, like, if he goes to work for a company or something, then they do a bit of research on him. Like, definitely could harm you.
Like, like now,
even today. The people are a bunch of prudes, but
the PC
different era, man.
The PC gaming space, like in DOS gaming, like such a wild west.
Wild West.
Like the amount of there's stuff that I've vaguely remember. Someone's like, "Oh, here's a bunch of shareware games," and it's just dodgy crap on there. And it's just because anyone could really do anything, and all it took was almost like the internet. It was like viral before viral was a thing, like physically it got shared around to people.
But I feel like this isn't even when you actually really think about it, this isn't even that bad. The images aren't that explicit.
No, I've played through like a stack of levels. They're pretty.
Yeah.
They're really
really tame.
They're really tame.
Even for back in the day, they're extremely tame.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stuff that was, especially if you were in Germany and shit. And I have first-hand experience from going into some of those shops again when I was probably a little too young, because Germany was pretty liberal with that kind of stuff. Like they would let kids go into adult stores and stuff.
Oh yeah,
accompanied by an adult.
No, they're still very liberal with that stuff.
Yeah,
like,
which by the way, honestly,
us.
man, again, look, I'm not defending this or anything. I am glad I grew up in that era. I'm glad I grew up in an era where people weren't as prudish about this kind of shit, where you can make funny games like this. It was a good experience, I think, overall. I have no regrets. There's nothing that I wouldn't turn back time. I don't go, oh my god, I shouldn't have had these experiences as a kid. Hell no, I think it's freaking awesome. So yeah, we're just talking about Sextris, the game I was playing the other day.
Wow,
the wheels have completely fallen off the show.
What a way to finish! What a way to finish!
Well, I just wanted to quickly mention, I just finally died in Sextris.
Anything tonight?
You won't be able to get the pieces to line up. I just wanted to mention, because you brought it up, but that was awesome back in the day. Like, we're all old, so I actually remember going to PC swap meets. That's what they used to run. And it's like there's nothing like that today. Nothing at all. It was almost like Reddit in person. Like, that's the way I'd always think about it.
It was, yeah.
Because you go to every different store, and you could bring, like, what are they? I've even freaking forgot. Floppy disks, right? You can bring your own floppy disks and just like copy games. People go, hey, pay $1 and I'll copy like Doom onto your floppy disk.
Let me whip out my zip drive.
It was really, really cool, man, and it was like very hobbyist. Like people would bring stuff in their cars and just have it in their like Ford Falcon boot. And like,
grassroots.
Yeah. You just
grassroots Sextris shareware dealers,
So yeah, like I kind of miss that element. Like, obviously there's other things that are so much easier, faster, better, etc. But there is that kind of cool human connection that you'd have with people back in that day. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think there's a certain there is, and maybe we're old farts, but there is a certain charm in the rawness of some of these things, and the fact that I didn't mean it as a pun. I swear to God, I just mean there's something really cool about. So if I equate this to, say, for example, back when I had my I had a 1973 Toyota Celica, right?
Yeah.
And I bought it for $200, and one day I flipped the hood, and you knew every single piece.
Yeah.
I could probably tear that car apart with not that much knowledge about mechanics, especially nowadays with YouTube tutorials and shit, which is a bit different. And I could rebuild it. I could rebuild the engine probably from scratch if I had to. You open up the hood of my car now, and you're like, what the is that?
Dude,
what is that component? And you can't do it anyway.
Because you need a computer to be able to turn it on and off and activate it and authorize a part. Like, you put a new part in, you have to authorize the part.
How did we get here from
Well, honestly, all I can say is that I appreciate a lot of the conveniences of modern society and everything. I just think it's lost some of its... I don't even... Like, what's the word for it? It's charm.
I get it. You want to go back to the simpler days when 8-year-olds can play Sextris.
Exactly.
On a 386.
Is it too much to ask for? Is it too much to ask for? Jesus.
Thinking that my son is like halfway there to that age, I'm like, I do not want him to play Sextris.
I want to have this conversation again when he is 8. But here's the scary part on a serious note. Back then, other than coming across your dad's porn stash, which I also did, the access to this kind of stuff was way more restricted. There was no internet.
Yeah, that's true.
The internet didn't really. I mean, okay, in 1992 it kind of existed, but not really, and only certain people had access to it. I wasn't
not like
exposed
this.
to
Not
the
like
internet
now with the phone.
till way later. Now it's literally your kid can pick up the bloody phone and go to the most extreme hardcore stuff.
Yeah, and they do.
And they
all
do. To me, that's way scarier.
Yeah, that's true.
You
that's
might
true,
come
that's true.
across a random game that's super
Yeah.
tame, super duper tame by today's standards
Yeah.
on a floppy disk. Like that's those way less than
If
what
that's
it is
the question
today.
you're asking me, of course I prefer that. Although, like, you know, you lose so much if you lose the internet, but like that element, because we have a lot of neighbors and they're all different ages, and it's so crazy. It's like these girls are like 11 years old and people are like sending them stuff.
Nuts.
It's like, what? This is so bad. Like, how the hell is this happening? Like, and now I kind of understand a bit more why, like, Apple, although I don't agree with it, Apple's like blocking people even sending their own photos out and stuff like that, and like monitoring your phone. But yeah, it's pretty.
Because
I don't know.
it's
I'm worried
impossible
about
to control some of that stuff as a parent. You just can't.
Yeah.
Like, unless you monitor, literally, you sit next to your kid 24/7, you can't monitor all of that
Oh yeah,
stuff.
but you don't, like, an 8-year-old shouldn't have their own phone, or in my view at least.
Well, you
with
can
iPad
argue
and
that as
stuff,
well, but a lot of
You can
parents
argue
kind
that.
of do it because little Johnny's being annoying. Just,
Yeah.
there you go. Take
Well,
the
yeah,
iPad, take the phone, and leave me alone for a bit.
But one thing I wanted
Yeah.
to mention is that, because of my experience with these kind of games, just quickly, and then we'll wrap up, is like, because we all, you know, like, this was back in Footscray, right? And we'd always go for like Chinese New Year, because they'd have like arcades and everything like that. And there was like these super dodgy ones. It was like pachinko machines for kids. These are all for kids, right? And then they would also have the coin games where you like, you got to throw in coins, and there's like hundreds of Australian dollar coins in the machine, and we'd try to shake it and try to win the coins, more coins you put in. And then they would have these column games, right? And I'm like, what are these columns games? And then I'd go check it out, and it's like Sextris. Like, the more you beat, like, and this is just in public, honestly, 100% for kids, right? And they would set these machines up, and all these kids are playing it, and they're like 8-year-olds, but in public.
Yeah, but look, man, I'm not one to have. I mean, I can have an opinion in this, but I don't have my own kids, so I can't really take it with a grain of salt. I just think, as a society, and especially the way we treat kids, way too freaking sheltered.
Sure.
When you look at history, and when you look at the development and growth cycle of a kid, historically, our kids are like ridiculously sheltered nowadays. Ridiculously sheltered. And I don't know. I think look, whatever it is, what it is. I don't really give a shit. I don't have kids at the moment yet.
That you know
Well,
of, maybe do.
that I know of. If I had kids, would I be as tight about it as? I reckon I wouldn't. To
No,
be
you
honest.
wouldn't.
Be like, here,
I don't think
here's
I
a
would.
free copy
I
of-
wouldn't just give them porn mags like
Here's
my
a
dad
free-
did.
here's
My
a
dad
free
did
copy
to
of-
us at my birthday. But
Here's a free copy
yeah,
of
that's
Sextris
right.
I've somehow put onto the analog pocket for you.
And I've hacked it with more hardcore porn.
I probably would do that. There you go, Johnny.
I put some
Daddy,
dirt.
I'm only
Johnny,
4. You gotta learn eventually.
Johnny. You gotta name your kid Johnny if you ever have a kid.
Okay, I'll name him Johnny. I'll name her Johnny as well if it's
Little
a girl.
Johnny.
Either way, it's gonna be little Johnny.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes,
I
thank you, Mike.
appreciate that.
That was-
Thanks for
retrospective.
letting me have the segment.
That was one of my
It
favorite
was fun.
segments of the show's
Welcome back to the show.
69 episode run. It might be the last episode. YouTube might eliminate our channel, but that's okay.
But it was worth it.
I think we'll have to have a serious debate about clipping the show. It was very enjoyable.